Feeling alright, going till the night don't shine. Holding on to what was only right, taking my starter line. This electric motor sport has me until someone take control. Oh, I've been thinking, hoping, wishing that you follow to my toes. Walk fire burning through the night. My insides can't feel too right. I know we will be fine, cause my soul is driving us through the night. I've been moving all around and I can't seem to find the sound. Just know I'll be there. Come with me, silhouettes on the beach. Close your eyes, you might try to find my sunrise. I'm moving all around now, 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 moving all around now. Oh, baby, oh, you got me going all night. You gon' keep beating all night, all move all around and I can't seem to find the sound. Just know I'll be there. All night, going all night. You got me going all night.
Kia ora, kia ora, kia ora. How's everyone doing? Wairere here with the 3MDI and the 3MDI whānau, and I'm excited tonight to be here to basically do a live stream about live streaming. Fancy that, yep. And so there was a lot of stuff that happened during lockdown. A lot of musicians out there that suddenly kind of thought, oh wow, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to handle this? How are we going to continue to connect with our audience? And so live streaming became their way of connecting with their fans. And I was myself was helping out Vodafone and Live Nation with their Vodafone Lounge Jams, which was basically coordinating with musicians like Dave Dobbin, Tiki Tane, Holly Smith, just to name a few, who were all in lockdown, and what we did is we put on these concerts from their lounge rooms, and there were some various technical things that we had, technical challenges that we had to work around, and that being they were at home, and we were having to scavenge technology from around the house, old phones, did they have fast enough internet, that kind of thing. And it was a very interesting exercise in trying to get that to work. And so there was various different types of software that we were using. And so what we're going to do here in the 3MDI page over the next month is we're going to drill down into some of those things, some of the software. We're going to go, I might do a couple more live streams over the next couple of weeks where we actually get into the nuts and bolts of even the system that we're using here tonight, which is streamyard.com. But there are other systems as well. There's OBS, there's I think it's cousin or sister, which is Streamlabs, and there's that one. There's a whole bunch of others as well. And this is, I guess, moving on from the platform-based streaming systems, which is going to be Facebook Live, where you're doing it from your mobile phone. A lot of people will be familiar with that, with Instagram, and all of the various platforms that have live streaming built into their apps. So we're moving through that, and so over the next few weeks we're going to be looking in depth and maybe looking at some schematics. I'll show you sort of how I was building things as well, and be talking to various people who've also been putting on their live streams on the various platforms. But tonight I'm really honored to be joined tonight by a couple of amazing musicians, and one of them I actually worked with on Vodafone Lounge Jams, Jonathan Pearce from the Beths, and then somebody who I've been watching over the last few months, and just watching his production value skyrocket, and was really keen to kind of get into sort of where he's been going, and that's King Kapisi. He's literally just come off his Mr. Majesty Sundays. He's just come off that, and so I'm going to bring them into the stream now. So kia ora, everyone. Kia ora, boys. Now I'm going to get you to turn your mics on there. There we go. Yes, we got them all going. Hey, how's it going?
Kia ora, kia ora.
Kia ora. Hello.
Awesome to see you. Hey, thanks so much for taking time out on your on your weekend, Bill. I know you've just come off your show, so thanks for sparing a little bit of time for us to run. Just have a chat basically and talk about things. And so welcome and thank you very much. So guys, I just want to kind of get into your heads a little bit, and maybe we can start with you, Jonathan, because we were working on the Vodafone Lounge Jams together. We did the I've got a little. I'll bring up my screen here, but this is us with Lounge Jams here. So you can see here. There you are. There's the Beths. So we had the Beths, P Money. We had Tomorrow People down in Wellies, and we had Aroha and John. So that was Aroha over in Melbourne, and John Toogood was also in Melbourne there as well. And so this was the first time we met, and there was some interesting, we did quite a few tech rehearsals, and we're kind of moving through that. Was that your first time doing a live stream of this nature?
Yeah, we'd done one live stream at that point. Live streaming sort of, I think we're going to get into this maybe later, but live streaming sort of early on in the COVID crisis was kind of one of those obvious things that came up as something that was going to be important. And we had done one that was just from home. It was Liz and I in our lounge at home. But as we know, the alert levels progressed, and us in New Zealand, we were able to be together in a room and we could perform as a band. Your live stream with Vodafone Y was the first time we had tried to do the band thing all together in the room. And yeah, lots of challenges that were involved in doing that.
Yeah, so I guess one of those things, because we were trying to do something a little bit different, right? We were trying to get the multi-camera thing up and running, which was, something just a step further from just a straight mobile phone and having that one single camera. And I guess the other one too, which was something I was quite surprised by at the time, was people still recording with the microphone in the device and not plugging in an audio interface or going through some kind of professional gear, which can be hard when you're doing it through a mobile device, right? It's not that easy to plug in a decent microphone.
That's right. You can be locked out in all sorts of ways by the technology. And I suppose it sounds like you want to talk about some of the ways to access that.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, absolutely. I'd love to get into some. You know, I'm a nerd. I'm techie. I like to get into nuts and bolts. I also find particularly there's a lot of our whānau out there who love the broad conversation, but they do like to get into nuts and bolts as well. You know, but and which is great for the techies. But you know, so but with the so you were saying that you know that was the first time that you had done something with the full band, and some of the things that we were trying to do. Was there, you know, you had moved from those more acoustic sets, was it? Is that what you were doing sort of at home, just with your voice?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So in the acoustic...
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, in the acoustic sets, we still had to inject our audio into the stream.
Right.
So we have our streaming platform. We use Streamlabs, but for your stream, we used StreamYards, and we have used other ones as well. They usually have a way to choose what your audio device is, and in our case, although we had a more complicated mixer setup arranged to actually mix the band's music, the most reliable way to do it was to use the most basic audio input device we could get that still gave us adequate control, a 2-channel interface of the likes that you would use to do bedroom demos. And that was what we were injecting our audio through into that streaming into that streaming software.
Cool. And I guess with just the two of you as well, that just allowed for, you know, it's a fairly simple mix, not too complicated.
And that was all it took for the acoustic ones. And then once we'd mastered that actually scaled up really nicely to the full band ones, which let me know if I'm jumping ahead. But, you know, basically then we had a kind of mixing console situation. In this case, it was a digital mixing setup that we used for band practices that output 2 channels, like output a finished mix that went straight to the small 2-channel device, and that was integrated into Streamlabs in exactly the same way it was for the acoustic sessions.
Right. So hey, so just if I come over to you, Bill, what was kind of your progression like? Was there a little bit of experimentation with trying to get, you know, looking at what you even did tonight, you know, your rig is pretty solid. Like it seems pretty well thought out now. Like, did you start? Was there a bit of experimentation at the beginning?
I started with my phone. I was just watching DJs from overseas, and you know, like my favorite DJs, and they were just live streaming from from Instagram onto their phone. I was like, whoa, check this out. So I sat back for a couple of weeks and watched, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do? This is the first lockdown what happened, and then I just got really bored, and I thought to myself, oh well, I've never live streamed before, but I'm just going to give it a go. Went live on Instagram, and what was interesting for me was that because I was so scared that I was doing it, that I just DJed, didn't know any rules, didn't know anything. And then after, I think I live streamed for about maybe 3 hours. I might have turned off like 2 or 3 times. I was just getting drunk because I was really bored, had no DJ gigs, had no gigs. I was like, okay, hold up. But I was drinking, you know what I mean? And that's just what you do when you're bored at home on a Friday night. And then started the brand. And I just thought to myself, the first night I got like 6,000, 7,000 engagements, 8,000. And I was like, oh shit, okay, that's interesting. Waited till the next week because it's yet another Friday, and then went live again. And then we got like 16,000 engagements. So I was just analyzing. I was going, wow, check this out. This is quite interesting that you know, everyone was locked at home, nothing else to do. What else are you going to do? And so I thought to and just kept on being consistent. Fridays. Then got a bit bored of just doing that from Fridays for 2 to 3 hours. Started a reggae show. And that's Mr. Majesty Sundays, the show I just finished. And then did that for weeks on weeks. Got a bit bored. And then just in that small space of time between just with all my setups and the two shows, I managed to get 500,000 engagements just by myself. And so I was just like, okay, this is going good. At some stage, I'm going to start another show. But I was really lucky was that with my setup was just my phone, made heaps of mistakes. I didn't go through any little input into it. I was just coming live out of some speakers at the back. And every time I finished a gig, by the time I was finished, my ears were like, doo! And I was going, oh, shivers. I'm not going to be able to do this consistently for hours and hours because I'm going to be deaf. But I just had, the speakers behind me and my microphone, and that was just, trial and error, trial and error, trial and error. That was the way I started.
Yeah, for sure. And so was there a I guess so as you're starting to get those engagements and like you say, you're kind of, oh well, what else can I do? I'm getting a little bit bored with this. I'm going to try something else, and was it was the going from your phone and then starting to increase that production value, was that like what was the curve on that? Was it something that kind of spiked up and you were just like you had to slam a whole bunch of money into it, or was it just something that you were kind of
no money, just me, my DJ gears and the microphones and peer speakers and the love for DJing. I mean, like I'm a good DJ and I can rock the mic at the same time. The reggae platform for me was because there's no reggae platforms. I think that's a good show. And I said to myself, I'm a hip hop dude first and foremost, but that's easy. I can do that with my eyes closed. And I haven't seen a good reggae show that promotes reggae music. And I thought to myself, oh, well, I'm going to start my own brand and it's just going to be a reggae brand. And, Mr. Majesty started branding. I got my, not a bad head with marketing and all. And obviously I thought to myself, okay, Kapisi Clan Fridays, it had a couple of name changes, but we're starting a brand. King Kapisi's done not too bad. So why not start another couple of brands? We lost all our money. All the gigs went out the door, no money. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I want to be poor. But also, how am I going to be able to support the families? My family. This is what my show looks like at this particular time. This was about a couple of hours ago. Inside my little studio, we have a backdrop. And then we've got uplights, if you call them uplights, that's lighting up the back. We've also got a projector that's projecting onto the back with the sponsors and all the names of being able to put, my sponsors all down the bottom. Got, someone to pay my power. Woohoo! Yeah. And then, so there's just different things I understand as King Kapisi. King Kapisi's a nationwide South Pacific, well-known brand. But basically, I'm just putting multiple brands of my own brands to work, but also I support other brands. And even with my reggae show, with my Sunday reggae shows, I've had 9 artists, local artists on board from Trong Ni all the way to Musical Genius, Lion Riz, Silver MC, so I've been able to support other artists that still need that support because there's no music shows that support New Zealand music. And, I was watching other live streams and I thought to myself, well, if this is just something from another artist's point of view, if I don't get chosen for other live streams, I'm just going to go make my own live streams. And I think that's the difference for me. I didn't wait. I was like, okay, I could sit back and have a cry and say, hey, these guys didn't pick me from whoever's doing live streams. But I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to create my own live streams and kill it. And then someone's going to notice it at some stage and people have. So it's just mahi. And I'm not scared of, failure. It's just going to fall flat on my face and get up again and then go again. Because what else are we going to do as Musos? We're going to learn how to build our own brands and learn how to get our music plus other people's music out there and support other artists or even other genres of music. Like I play drum and bass, I play funk, but there's an opportunity from R&B to be able to support other artists and have them on my shows, even though our shows haven't been funded. But someone's going to go, Caps, you're the bomb, and someone's going to give me some money at some stage. But I'm just waiting. And the other thing too is what I am doing is just being consistent. Right.
Yep. So keeping that, keeping that trajectory of great production values, going from your phone, moving across, and then and until like you say, you've got someone at least paying the electricity. Okay, for sure, bro. Well, that's awesome.
It's money. We can't be slouches as Musos these days. You have to be active. And if this is your only income, if like a lot of us have different eggs in different baskets, but which is going to be hopefully potentially your biggest winner when at this particular time, man, the world's effed up and and everything's going yay tupu. So we've just got to be able to find some way and other people that believe in what we do to actually say for me. Just be dope, and there's only one level of dope. If your shit's not dope, make it dope, and if it is, keep on going. That's just me, my bro.
There you go, King Kapisi at his finest, laying down the laying down the challenge. Just be dope, yes. So, Jonathan, the just in terms, so I mean, you had a lot of international dates lined up, and there was there was a tour, and there was some momentum, particularly coming out of your last album, and looking at your sort of your latest release and sort of what you were doing to back that up, and obviously with lockdown and COVID hitting the world, you had to pivot and you had to make some adjustments. And so that's this live streaming idea and sort of how you ended up kicking into that, and sort of some of the ideas and thoughts that you were having to go through. And how did this opportunity of live streaming kind of sort of fall into place for you?
Yeah, so when we finished a record in March this year, and it was a really strange time to finish a record because it was so fast moving at the start of March. The virus was something that we were kind of criticizing the Donald Trump for talking, irresponsibly about. But it wasn't something that was very real for us yet. And then in 3 weeks' time, it was like everything that anyone was dealing with was it was affecting everyone in every way. So, I mean, it was like, yeah, we went from having what we thought was like the best plan. We thought we'd clocked it. We had international touring. We had 2 tours in the States. We had 2 tours in the UK and Europe. We had a tour in Australia. And we had, all of the radio plugging that you want to have, all the people, what we thought were the right people in the right place to like make this a big follow-on record for us internationally. And I mean that almost all of that planning went completely out the window in about 3 weeks' time. And so, yeah, I guess live streaming, in a sense, it was sort of all that we had left. I think what King Kapisi, what Bill said just before about kind of falling into this as like a thing that you really wanted to do something, and you found yourself doing something when you were trying to have fun with music, and this turned into a thing for you. It was a little bit like that for us as well, in that we were definitely looking for something to do to promote this album, because we had made the decision to release the album anyway. COVID be damned, we put the album out, and we didn't want to just sit on our hands for 2 years just waiting for things to get better. So we thought better to like put the record out and try to do some hard work supporting it, and the mahi, and then that felt more constructive to us. So that's what we decided to do. And yeah, we've kind of fell into live streaming as a way to, and we used it quite strategically. Like early on, I think I have a huge respect for what you've done, Bill, because your stuff looks amazing, man. And those numbers are incredible as well. Like, yeah, those are good. Those are real good numbers for people tuning into what you do. So, huge respect, but I don't think we took to it like a fish to water, or whatever you might say, in the same way. And so we're a bit more calculating with how we use the live streams, and it was a bit more like, here's an announcement we have. Here's the kind of normal content that we do as a band. We're going to put a single out. We're going to put a video out. We're going to try and promote that to radio. That's going to be within New Zealand and internationally. And this is a way that we can involve our fans in doing that. And the live streaming was, it was an outreach kind of thing that we could do in that regard. And so, yeah, we made a kind of deliberate decision to only do a few of them, do them on our own terms mostly, and only do a couple of kind of other syndicated ones that went out to different channels. But mostly we did them through our own channels, and kind of used them that way to reach our fans. Yeah.
Sure. And so I guess with the essentially that's what you're doing, right? You're at home, you're stuck at home, Bill, fucking I'm bored, I don't know what to do, and let's get out there and do something. As you start to kind of see that people are engaging with it, right? And so that motivates you to kind of start doing some more. And we definitely saw it with the Vodafone Lounge Jams, in the first one. So I was working with Tiki Tane. He did his first one. I think very similar story. Like he had two phones, one for Instagram, because Instagram, you can only do it on that one, and then one for Facebook. And so he had that somewhere else. And then I think his sister Nina Kay, another 3MDI admin, she was running around the room, and then she'd be standing in front of the Instagram camera because she was filming for Facebook. And so it was all pretty ad hoc. And they came out of the back end of that one, called me the next day, and were like, can you help us kind of make it a little bit better? And that was the first time I started getting into sort of slightly better production value. We started using Livestream Studio, which is Vimeo's package, and I was team. So he'd have his laptop at home, and we had that as a camera, and then we had a couple of. This was the first time we tried to do the multicam. He had a couple of older phones which he had plugged in around the place, and we linked them into that studio. And I was team viewed on my machine to his machine, and we were pumping it out via Facebook. And that was how we kind of made pieced it together, which gave us the idea later on with StreamYard, which was we could possibly cobble together a multicam show where I can control from home. And StreamYard, Livestream Studio it's an expensive piece of software, but it was also one of those things where it was a little bit, it required me to get onto the machine and do some stuff. So StreamYard, which is what we're using now, just allows me to send a link, and every device can link to it. So I'm just going to quickly show you here. This is my other laptop over here. There it is. Yep. And then, so we were able to actually get that rolling. And I just want to quickly show the folks at home. They're going to bring in that stream there. There you go. So this is the Vodafone Lounge Jams. So this is the Beths playing in the Lounge Jams where we had actually multicam setups with each of the bands around the country, and they were like, Tomorrow People had a laptop, a couple of phones, and which would allow me to switch between them. StreamYard's sort of limitation is that you're only allowed 10 people or 10 cameras in the stream at once. So I was having to pull people in and out. There was somebody on Zoom also doing it. So there was some kind of crazy back end control room stuff distributed around the entire country as we tried to keep it together. But I thought this was pretty cool. I loved your guys. You just happened to have a phone. Hang on, I'll see if I can find it. That one there. I love that shot. That's such a great band room shot where you just happened to have a phone which had a fisheye on it, and we could get this great shot in here. And so, it's really amazing. And like all the bands are really dedicated to making it look good, and everyone had sound cards, and we could get good sound mixes. I remember specifically for this gig, I know that we worked real hard on getting your guys sounding really good, Jonathan. And then and what came out at the end in the night was sounded fantastic. So there is and so in terms of the engagement, there was Vodafone loved it so much they actually extended it past lockdown. That was kind of their thing. We ended up doing a couple of Australian bands, but this was our big one for the New Zealand bands. So hey guys, well look, it's really interesting to sort of hear how you've come through your journey. And so Bill, you've got, so you've talked about building this brand, right? You've got, and you've realized the opportunity. You've gone, cool. I'm just, if I build it, they will come. It's kind of taken that approach to it. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because, the music industry in general now, the independence of musicians, of releasing their music and doing this stuff, and now actually independently starting to create their own video channels and not needing broadcasters as we're usually used to because of the different way that people are ingesting their content. So that's something I want to kind of just recognize that you've so it's not just Mr. Majesty Sundays. You've got the Kapisi Clan Fridays. Just tell us some of the other shows that you're also doing, bro.
So Kapisi Clans Fridays was the first show. That was the DJing, funk, let's get R&B, a little bit of hip hop. But I thought to myself, as you know, hip hop, you play hardcore hip hop, boom bap that I love. People get turned off. Only the hip hop heads like it. So I'm like, okay. So this was just yay, let's have a Friday. Yay, we made it through another week of COVID, and hopefully no one passed away, all that type of stuff. So then the Sundays was the reggae show. After I got rocking with those, got comfortable with those, I decided to. I can just really show you guys too. This is really weird. Okay, so on that side is my look over there, and that is the DJ side on that side. So basically, what ended up happening, I ended up creating, like a little DJ side of studio in my house, in my whare. So that's that side, and then after. When I built that site, I said, okay, at some stage, because what we had was these rollers things can roll out, So like we had that equipment. So if I decided to do a talk show, I had to roll that equipment in, put the couches that I'm on right now, and just keep on changing all of those the looks in from a talk show, music show, talk show, music show, talk show, music show. And me and my son was like, Dad, I'm getting sick of doing this. And so what I did was that I ended up building the wall behind me, built it, framed it, jibbed it, painted it white, got some other lights. And so now in our small space, we've got the talk show look, which we can also go multiple colors on this background and then switch around straight to there. We've got the DJ look.
Right. Awesome.
So now, I look at things a little bit differently. The more it looks like TVNZ, TV3, some channel that's got heaps of money, woohoo, we're winning. But because the reason why I'm saying is because we haven't got funding yet, and I'm telling you, someone at some stage is going to go, oh my gosh, what you're doing, Caps, is amazing. But so I started a basketball show. I'm a basketballer, hooper, a long time. I wanted to create a basketball show, the best basketball show in New Zealand. So for myself, I said to myself, okay, the 2-year goal is I'm going to create the South Pacific ESPN basketball, show for the South Pacific. We've got some Australian, dudes over in Australia, dry as, boring, I hate it. But then I said, why can't we be the South Pacific side of things? So that's my aim for my basketball show, created that, Hoops and Life, started that other brand. And I thought to myself, okay, I've got that going now. I'm going to start up another talk show. So Caps Chats is a holistic well-being, sort of mental health show. And I've talked to multiple people from Butterbean all the way through to, good friends, but also just talking about normal stuff. How are you? How the fuck are you? How are you living? Actually, are you all right? And just, I've made the decision that all of my shows will hit something different, nothing the same, and just be entertaining. So my wife started her show, Maramatanga. So we're rocking 5 shows from our premises, but also I've got another 5-6 shows ready to go. Amazing. And that's the way that I'm doing. I'm building my own channel, TV channel. And, yay for us musicians, because we'll have Musos shows that we can come and rock on, that we don't have to wait for any of the biggies to come and give us an opportunity to rock on their shows. I'm giving, the people that I know as Musos, but people I can trust and people I love and I love their music, opportunities that they can come and rock on my show and say, hey, guys, we all need support. If I've got the opportunities to be able to support and actually promote your music without you having to go and, play the games of the music industry, well, then that's for me, bro, because I'm trying to make my own lane so we don't have to play the music industry lane. We can just make our own lane. And that's totally.
Sorry, somebody's calling me. Of course, that's my dad. Okay, sorry, Dad.
That is just amazing. That is what you're doing is so amazing,
Thanks, bro.
man. I'm so inspired.
You know, because this industry stuff, I'm just sick of it, mate. You know what I mean? Signed to a record label, signed to a manager, and all of that, and just I'm keen on just taking it. You know, if we're gonna fall on someone's sword, let's fall on our own sword. I've been signed to a major record label, signed with managers, and I go, you guys are cool. But really, what do you guys really do? And so now I'm just switching it, and we're making our own platforms where we can make our own radio stations. You know, there's radio stations that, you know, platforms we can go make our own radio stations now. You know, Radio Schmadio, check that out. It's amazing. So these days, we don't have to wait for the record labels to play the games that I've been playing for the last 25 years. We can just go and play in the other field over there and just start our own game. And, you know, and that's what I'm about now. I'm about if we can take control of our own destiny so we don't have to wait for the handouts of the man.
Okay, well, look, you know, there's that, you know, fully total or that self-determination, particularly, you know, and it's something that has been, you know, that's that a lot of musicians, a lot of in a lot of industries,
all of us, we're all in the same game. You know what I mean? We're all playing the same game, but we're all at different levels or times of our careers. And so I think that's the great from the people who've just got into the game, for myself, like who's been in it for 25, you know, long years, and just through our experience, hopefully we're definitely not going to make the same mistakes that we made in the first album, second album, third album, and, you know, onto the fourth album, because I'm still recording albums, recording, you know, videos. And the other thing too, which was really interesting too, fam, because you guys will understand it, someone said, bro, we're going to charge you $2,500 for us to service your record. And I was like, what? You know, $2,500 to $3,000 to service your one record, your one track to the radio. I was like, mate, I spent the next 3 days calling up every radio station from the bottom of New Zealand to the top. So I thought to myself, I'm not going to give you $3,000. I'm just going to do it myself.
There you go. All right. Well, then, so and you know, I guess this also kind of goes. The other thing that this opportunity arises, and what we're seeing as well, is it opens you up to international audiences. So this is, you know, it's not just about your $3,000 going into, you know, that could also be $3,000 going into actually, you know, promoting what you're doing in an international way. And I guess, Jonathan, that was something that you know, that was also a consideration that you would think about with the live streams in terms of the reach of the audience, that you were it was going to be more than just domestic, and was going to allow you to kind of engage with that international audience that you potentially missed out on your last release in terms of the touring.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, I feel like I'm going to go away from this with a lot to think about, but which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like when we're the last 2 years for us has been like non-stop touring. It's been like you know, we actually have played, without exaggeration, 250 shows in 18 months. And when you're doing that many shows, you can't rep yourself in that in-person way. Like if your job is you play a show almost every night or every second night, you know, you just have limited resources, so you need to have a team. But what I have found is that we DIY heaps of what we do, and I think I went into this. I looked at these live streams that you were doing, Bill, and I went into this discussion thinking that I was on the DIY end of the spectrum. And what I've learned is that what I do looks DIY, but actually you're the one who's really doing it. And that is amazing. But I think what I would comment on about doing it DIY and doing as much of it DIY as you can is that to build on what you're saying, Bill, I think it opens doors. If you haven't overinvested in a particular in a narrow scope, you can DIY it, and you can be and you can sort of have a measure of success, and that opens a new door to take what your work is and to take it other places. And I think that's really valuable. And so I think an example of that is, we DIY'd that show with UY for Vodafone. And then we built on that to turn that show into this thing, which we were doing Beths TV, which we did several kind of episodes of that coincided with single releases and were part of the more traditional album release cycle, which we still decided to go through with for this album. And then after the album was released, one thing that we would normally do is we'd be on tour in the US and we'd go through Seattle and we would maybe play a KEXP. So we'd go into the radio studio at KEXP and do a live set in their beautiful studio, and they would record it and eventually stream it on the internet, and they'd broadcast it. They've been doing some streams under COVID, under lockdowns. They've been doing these streams where people are basically sitting on their couch in their lounge playing an acoustic guitar. But what we did is when they asked us if we could do one of those, we said, well, yeah, we can do one of those. But there's also this other thing we've learned how to do, which is that we can basically make the thing that you make. And because we're in New Zealand and we can be together and we can have a crew of, and I say a crew, it's really like 3 mates who know how to use a camera and know how to twiddle the knobs on a lights mixing desk.
Make a cup of tea while you're playing.
Yeah, no one was doing tea. Everyone was working real hard, but it was a huge day. But we basically we went to the University Hall, which we had a hookup, and so we were able to go in there, and it was came at next to no cost. We went into the University Hall, decked it out with lights, and made a thing that looked really, really like a KEXP, and it sounded amazing too. They were so over the moon with that, and they've broadcast it on the syndicated NPR radio, which is a massive audience in Seattle in the USA, as well as putting it up on their channels in the way that they have been doing these more lounge DIY indie style, just sitting on your couch playing acoustic guitar, which is not something they can really broadcast on the radio. It is a bit limited. It's a bit too basic. But yeah, we found like if you can DIY something and gain a bit of ground there for yourself, then yeah, it can open up some doors, and it's interesting to see where that might go. There we are. So
line there, I thought I'd bring it up there. So there it is on the NPR website. I guess, hey, with the NPR stuff too, because people are becoming more and more kind of accustomed. You've got some, just like every major music artist in coming through the States or anyone else doing their tiny disc sessions, which has also become a huge sort of cult program, which again started off quite small, very simple idea. Hey, what I wanted to kind of touch on with you guys, because I was kind of aiming for 40 to 60 minutes, and we're inside that 40 minutes now, and so it goes fast, bro? Yeah.
Fast.
Yeah. And so something I noticed that this was during live streams, and it was something I was kind of promoting in terms of the type of event I was involved with, and that was actually the recorded versus the live. Yep. And so there were a lot of things that were coming out where people were pre-recording it and then putting it up because they had the opportunity to cut it together, give it a little bit more of a production and shine it up a bit. But I guess what you're losing there is that connection, where there was I know with the lounge jams with Dave Dobbin, his numbers were quite high. I think we were kind of pushing the 6,000 to 9,000 during his live stream of people watching it. And, and it was just him in a studio, just talking to people, and it was, and he could respond to the comments. Like, how important is that part to you guys? Or, is that an important part to your live streams, Bill?
Sorry, buddy, can you just repeat that question real quick?
Yeah, it's really just around, sort of the live versus, like, why do you live stream versus pre-recording it? Like, you could pre-record if you wanted to, you could get them all in the can and spit them out,
For me, bro, I think the difference is because we haven't had live bands in here. Live bands in here is like a lot more different. We've had a bro playing his guitar. We've had a bro playing over a track with a guitar and a vocal. Just remembering too that I've with my show, there's been one of Auckland's dopest lighting companies that joined me, and they're partners in the show. V3 Tech, and they just came along and supported me to the max. Majority of the stuff is theirs. I didn't have to like put in the mad investment into it because they came and supported what I was doing. And so, that's how we've been able to get such a high, incredible level of show just from, from what we've been doing. I've got like 5 texts on my show.
Right.
On my shows. We've got a chat, and I just ask the question, how do we do that? And they're like, okay, da-da-da. And so I've got different mates that do different things. And also my youngest son, who's 19 now, he's pressing the buttons, he's changing the cameras. I used to do all the camera switching between myself. There's a lot of stuff that I don't know, because when it comes down to, I shoot, I direct, and I edit. But with my director's hat on as a director, whatever you're putting in front of the camera better look dope. And, I've been able to use that from a music video point of view, that whatever I'm trying to put out, it's got to be the best.
Are you pre-recording your shows? Are you pre-recording your shows? Or are
no, they're all live. All of my shows. I could go, pre-record, but it's just that because we've got the Facebook iPad, then I've got the other phone that's got Instagram on it, and then Restream has got the 5 or 6 different platforms on that one, so I can read all the comments coming on there, and then I can read all the. So it's quite it's still doing the same thing. It is a mission, but also I've got a couple of texts that are on consistently, and really, really lucky too. I've got no trolls. Everyone's been really, really positive on the show, because if not, I just cuss them out.
Sure. But you think it's an important thing to have, like versus pre-recording, that live element is an important thing for your fans?
I think so too, bro. Because what I've managed to be able to do is I give away prizes of businesses that support me, and that drives people to watch the show as well. There's been good and bad about that, because some people just watch your shows just for prizes. It's basically like Christmas. Every time your show comes around, damn, you're giving away $299 of something. Every show, $399 of a show. Like we've given away up to like $700, $800 worth of stuff per show. That's a lot of show. You know what I mean? And someone can just sit there with their phone and just go like that, and just go, yeah. And then after a while, I was just like, the same person is winning the prizes. But these are the pitfalls of having shows and having multiple shows. There are missions that we're trying to do, and every week I've just gone from show, try to refine it, because I've got only 2 nights off, and then the next show rolls around, and you're like, damn it, it's back at the next show already. But I've learned to, from that, having to forecast how many guests that I've got on. So I've got 4 shows, so I've got to get 4 guests per show. So now I've booked them all the way up until December. But that's just learning processes and all those type of things too. But yeah, I definitely reckon live, pre-record.
Right. And so what about you, Jonathan? Is the sort of the pre-record versus the live? You feel like that live side of things is an important aspect to this new world that we're living in, and connecting with your fans and audience?
I do think it's important. We are almost literally right now. In fact, like some of my mates are downstairs in the band, and we're having some dinner together tonight. And I've just nipped up here to talk to you guys. But like we're right now kind of discussing a plan for a live streamed or a streamed event of some kind that will be built around our show coming up in November at the Auckland Town Hall. We're really going to dig deep to work out what's the thing that's going to serve the fans the best. Because I think this sort of project where you do like a quite a large scale thing, and you invest a lot of yourself into it, and maybe a lot of money, or maybe get some funding, you put some money into it, definitely a lot of time and work into doing something like this, it can turn, almost by virtue of all of those things you've put into it, it can turn into a bit of an ego trip, and it can be something that doesn't suit the fans anymore. And so we're really trying to avoid that happening. But that means you have to dig deep and work out, like, well, what we really want to do is make a concert movie that has a whole lot of background information and contextualizes what you're viewing and tells a story. And maybe that is honestly like a really great story, because these are pretty extreme times. And so we might even believe that that's a story that's super worth telling. But is this the time to do that? And is this the way to do that? And if it means we can't stream it live, and that means that the core event, the gig, which is the special part of it, which being live with an audience is the special part of it, if that gets compromised, is it kind of worth all these other things that might actually be kind of ego driven in their nature? They might have to be sacrificed so that we can do the thing that people actually want, which is to be together, to watch a live event, to have that sense of anything could go wrong, spontaneity, stuff.
We've had such tech problems, and as you guys know, that Instagram will go down, Facebook will go down, and and there's just so many platforms that you have to look at, because we're rocking 5, 6 platforms here, while all the other ones have gone on. Periscope's still going, and you're still live, mate. Oh, true. And so before someone's still trying to turn on Instagram and still turn on Facebook again, there's so many issues. But with the help of all of our techs, someone along the way and sort of helps you figure it out. And it's a real hit and miss process, but it's getting there. I mean, you guys know we're trying. We're trying to do something that no one's ever done, and it's never been done before by artists. And the other, I think that if we go to the buzz of how are we going to get our music out to our peoples, and I think that's the beauty of this puzzle, is that we've all got missions to do. Man, I want to make this tune. How can I make the world hear it? And that's the great thing. It's still interesting. It's still a dope adventure.
Yeah.
Well, it's really worth doing, because I mean that is what you're doing is what is that's the way people are watching right now. People are not watching syndicated television right now, and so you say you're going up against TVNZ and TV3, and like, I mean, you are winning, man. Like, people are watching internet shows just like yours, and they're watching them in way bigger numbers than they are watching syndicated television. So
I thought it was really interesting. So what happened coming out of the back end of was actually helping Don McGlashan from Canada do his live streams, and he came from a phone, I think, resting on the end of his piano, which was vibrating, and the first one he did was actually we struggled to get, he was just doing it real lo-fi, right through to him actually having his his fancy microphone hooked up, and we got it kind of running a little bit smoother and sounding a lot better. But there was this point where he when I first connected with him, and he was like, every tutorial video I'm watching is about gamers. This is how gamers stream, and they, and it was, I guess as artists, we've just kind of been off in our little bubble doing live events. These cats have been doing it for years, and they've got it. They're like next level, and so looking at gamers and how they're streaming their stuff and the type of hardware they're rolling with is pretty amazing, actually. And then and I think musicians have learned a lot, but like I say, there was an age and technological thing as well, where where musicians were going, I don't understand. They're talking gaming language. And then there wasn't, and that was actually the reason I kind of wanted to have this discussion with musicians about streaming Musos, because I don't think there's a lot of stuff out there for Musos in terms of how to do that, which is why we're gonna kind of go in depth this week on the 3MDI page and getting into some technical stuff for those guys. Bill,
Yeah,
you were going to say something, bro?
I was just going to say that, like we go live on Twitch, and just as a brand, musos get asked to play on celebrity game, on the gaming world, blah, blah, blah. And I've been asked, like, man, can you play Fortnite? Shit, I can't play Fortnite at all. You know what I mean? And like, can you play NBA? Yeah, bro, I play NBA. But I'm looking at that. We've got to branch out as musos, regardless of whatever age we are. We've got to work out and work our brands and whoosh, get out there and work. You know what I mean? And so I've set up. I've got a projector that can do a full. I've figured out how to do the Twitch gaming thing where I'm just going to jump online and play games, with other people. It's about, for me, it's about diversifying what we're able to do other than just being a muso. Muso money is always good. It's always great, coming in. But what happens when over the 25 years you get a bit bored of the music stuff? You obviously, what's the next step? You go and start making advertising music. You start shooting, stuff for advertising. You do voiceovers, all of that type of stuff. But then when you get bored of that, you've got to go, for me, you've got to go start your own record label. You've got to go start your own television show, your own radio show. So you have ownership of your own, will forecast or what's going to happen with your life. I can look back and foresight and go, that was great. Thank you very much for all you guys' help with everything else. But now I'm going to go and make my own, lane and try and see if I can help some other people get along there at the same time. It's a weird one because for me, I'm empathetic to other people's plights because I've gone through the same plight and I'm willing to help others. But not everyone's in that same place. But man, everyone needs a hug. Everyone needs a, hey, man, come on, let's go. Everyone needs a coach. Yay, come on. We're still alive. Woohoo. And also musos from our point of view, man, that beat was dope. Man, that melody was awesome. Or that lyric was incredible. That was so intense, man, when it dropped. And we're festival people. We feel the music when you make it. Where are the other places that we can make our music and have other people go, man, I was feeling your vibe, and that's where, as musos, we're always aiming for that next high.
For sure. Hey, I just want to touch on those platforms. Sorry, I brought that up on the screen before. Ooh. So you're currently rolling on Facebook. You've got Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and right?
Periscope, Twitch. Yep. We've got multiple. Yeah, we've got I think 5 to 6 platforms that we're hitting on. We're using OBS that's going to multiple, platforms. But obviously, with the help of my techs that have been able to rock with us from from V3 Tech and the other 4 or 5 guys that are my mates and also my son, I've been able to slowly figure it out at some stage. But like I said, guys, I'm building a channel, and but they're. One's a sport one. They're all different genres. They all cover different things of life. There's going to be a cooking one. There's going to be a battle one. There's going to be a sneaker one. There's going to be a comic one. There's going to be a Christian one. I'm not even a Christian, but my bro is. But so we're covering multiple things of just life. And because with the assistance of incredible people like, V3 Tech, I'm able to create these things because I've got the energy to do it. But also at some stage, these platforms will pay the bills.
For sure. And Jonathan, yes. Jonathan, just talking about your channels as well. So you've currently got your Beths TV on YouTube, and are you doing stuff on Facebook as well, or any of the other platforms?
We don't do too much with Facebook. To be honest, we kind of a bit turned off by Facebook. But that's just that's just our view on the world, kind of. But I know that it's a complicated one. There's no real totally ethical outlets out there these days, so you've got to make the most of what you're given.
Just to kind of drill on that a little bit, it is a part of that decision process. Is sort of how the platform is, I guess, ethically portraying itself out there, or
that stuff is quite important to us. We try to be a little bit more, like, to use a kind of buzzword, we try to be a bit more holistic about what we are doing, and so I know there's there's hypocrisy there. You know, it's really hard to get it right all the time. We try to do things that feel right to us, and feeding that Facebook monster too much material, too much content doesn't really feel like the right thing for us to do just from where we're sitting. But that could be because we're serving a bit more of a niche and we can access that audience in other places, and we prefer to do it in other places. So, and having said that, I mean, those other places we're talking about is Instagram and YouTube, and not a lot of actually really independent platforming, which would be a bigger asset for us. So, you know, yeah, we acknowledge the hypocrisy in that, but yeah, basically we're pretty much on YouTube, we're on Instagram, and we have a way to kind of tap into Instagram Live as well, which might be something worth looking at down the track, because I think you know, it's worth mentioning these kind of more guerrilla software that are like what Yellow Duck does, where you can kind of get yourself into the Instagram streaming ecosystem, bypassing their back office and pushing out what your actual product is rather than just what's coming off the camera on the phone. So that's pretty good. And I think it's, I reckon use that stuff because even though it's not officially supported, it will be. Right. And it won't be long before Instagram is like, oh, people are doing this and we can't stop them and we don't want to stop them. So, you know, I reckon use it. So yeah, that's basically our platforms that we utilize. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, guys. Well, look, we've hit that 60-minute mark. I can see you're about to kick off, Bill. I can see it. But what I want to give you an opportunity here, just out to the whānau, and just kind of, I guess I just want you to guys give me your top three tips of why your top three tips around live streaming for Musos that you've come through, and so what you feel are the most important things that people should be thinking about when doing live streaming for music. And go.
I think number one for me would we use OBS. And the thing that I do dig about OBS is that you can, if you pay enough money, I think it's like, I can't even remember how much it is, you can go to like 6 Facebook platforms at the same time, 2 or 3 Instagram platforms, you know, like, what is it? She was in Periscope, Twitch, YouTube, all at the same time. So you can go to like over 10, but it depends on how much money you pay. So that's number one. That's why I like OBS, and that's, you know, we just pay a fee and okay, cool. But we're also able to share to our other friends' pages that support us as well, who's like our sponsors as well. So instead of just rocking our particular platforms, we're sharing on other people's platforms as well.
Cool.
Okay, and my number one is probably kind of talk to your friends and talk to your whānau about what you're trying to do and what you are doing. And that was something we haven't talked about in this hour yet, but something that was hugely important to us is, you know, right at the start of the crisis, and we weren't playing any gigs and stuff, and we were looking for things to do. Live streaming came up, and like you said, you know, the gamers had it sus, but none of us musicians did. So it was through talking to each other and really trying to figure it out. Like, so much stuff, like doing trial runs where we tried to input the inputs through the computer into Instagram or into Facebook or YouTube, and it just didn't sound good. And
that is a nightmare, isn't it?
I mean, it was all crushed. Like it was there was a massive period of learning. So talking to those other people who are going through the same thing and sharing your knowledge and all of that is hugely valuable to us. It's probably my number one.
Yeah, bro. Shivers, there's so many things, bro. But number 2 is when you're live streaming, make sure that you interact with you ask your crowd or your audience questions, making sure that what I say now is that at the beginning of my live streams, make sure, please, can you share the show? You know, that's the definite way that you're going to get more interaction. So they're sharing to their friends, and you know, we've got some other big sort of pages with 100,000 followers or 100 plus, and they're sharing it out, so we just get more interaction. But just making sure that you say hello, you know, and be yourself. You know what I mean? Really, just be yourself, because that's all people are watching. They're like, oh, what's this fella like? And you know, just if yeah.
My 2 and 3 are basically the same. I'd phrase them slightly differently. Just for me, I'd phrase them as reach out and listen to what your fans are saying, and that's a super good guide, and it stops you from being in your tiny little bubble, which is like a real mental health danger for everyone right now. So listening's really good, and then to follow on from be yourself, I reckon I'd state it even more extremely. I'd just say, don't do something that makes you uncomfortable. Be honest with yourself and ask yourself, is this making me uncomfortable? And how's this really making me feel? And if you feel shit about it, don't do it. It's not worth it. And it's there's so many ways that you can kind of put yourself out there into the world right now, and you don't have to do it the way that someone's told you have to do it, if that way makes you feel gross or uncomfortable or something like that.
Nice one.
Yeah, number 3, what I would just say would to make sure that you got your processes down, and because it's if you can manage to not perfect but just sort of get one process down, then you can start another show, then you can start multiple shows. Just make sure that you got your processes down, and just getting a process that works. You have to keep on refining every single show, so just to make it better. And that, I think that's the main thing. Every week I'm just trying to, what can I do to make it better? But sometimes, because we've got such a small team, we're doing 5 shows, but there's only me and my son, and and our techs. But we'll also assistance from V3 Tech. So, but it's a real. There's times where I got so I don't want to do it anymore. I was just like, that's it. I don't want it. My wife's like, you started that shit, you better go do it, and it's that, how do you push through the hard times when you don't want to do it to make it consistent enough to be, malleable or sellable or to become a product that's consistent? Because basically, if we, as musicians, we become a brand. And so how do we become a brand that's trusted to be able to deliver? And so that's the weird thing, you know what I mean? Sometimes you go, man, I don't want to play my guitar today. But then if we're going to look into it from the point of view where it's a business, which we make music, which we love, but we're trying to sell that, you can't just go, sometimes, bro, you can't have a day off. Like you're doing a gig every day. There's no, bro, I don't want a gig today. They don't care. You get on that show and you rip that show. And that's what we do. But mental health wise, there's been times I go, oh my gosh, I don't, but I'm still here. We're still, challenging on. We're still charging on, and we're giving it a go, because either if we don't give it a go, what else are we going to do?
For sure. Hey, guys, amazing advice. Thank you very much. I'd just like to thank you on behalf of the 3MDI whānau. I'm here with the Music Managers Forum as well. They're tuning in. We're broadcasting to them. So thank you. I'm going to look forward to seeing all the new stuff that you've got coming out, Bill, and same with you. I'm Jonathan. So keep tuned, whānau, just to the 3MDI group page. We are going to be doing some more in-depth technical stuff around some different platforms, and getting into some nitty-gritty. But I'd just like to say thank you to Jonathan Pearce from the Beths, and my brother Kinga Kapisi, from all of the stuff that he's always doing. So look forward to the revolution, my brother, and we'll see you soon. Kia ora koutou.
All right.
Kia ora, thank you.